What is up, YouTube? Today I'm coming back at you with another video, and today's video is a little bit different. This is actually going to be, I think, my 100th gaming pickups video, which is something that I never thought I'd really get to. I never thought that I would have people this interested in my game collection that they would watch 100 videos of things that I have for my game collection. So, yeah, today's video is a little bit different just because I wanted to do something different, especially for my 100th video. And I kind of touched on this with my more recent videos and my tabletop stuff. But I do have a video game, but I only have one game that I picked up that's a video game. I have 5 different tabletop things that I picked up as well. So I'm sorry if you didn't really want to see that, but I just wanted to do something different for my 100th gaming pickups video. Also, the fact that I mentioned this in my last game pickups video is there's no real good used game stores where I live at all. All I really have got is GameStop. And while GameStop's nice, for some reason there's just not been a whole lot I'm interested in gaming-wise recently. It's not like when I was waiting for Final Fantasy 14, was it 15? Final Fantasy 15, where I was waiting for pre-orders, and there's not really a whole lot I really want to pre-order right now, and the gaming marketplace seems to be moving away from what I prefer. So I can't really do anything about that except just buy the games that I want to buy. So I'm sorry. I do want to do more videos on my collection and what games I recommend. That seems like something I could probably do. But for now, this is my gaming pickups video, so let's just get right into it. So I did get one game, like I said, and this is a game that I've actually been wanting to get for a while, but I didn't really feel like it was worth the price tag, especially since I already have part of the components. But I finally found it at a used price that I was willing to pay for, and I ended up picking up Rock Band 4. Most of you know that I am a huge fan of these type of arcade music games with the 5 buttons, the 5 colored buttons. I've been playing those games since Guitar Hero 2, and I've played them ever since. I've gotten really good at them, and so I was really looking forward to Rock Band 4, and I really wanted to get it, but I didn't really feel like buying another guitar because it said it was compatible with the old guitars. So I ended up finding this loose as a single thing, and I bought it. And I'm honestly a little disappointed. The song selection on here is decent, but like I don't know, maybe it's just the way music is going, but I feel like music's also going away from things that I prefer. I prefer a lot of alternative rock, a heavier rock, and there's just not a lot of that on here. You got a lot of, like, you got Bruno Mars, Imagine Dragons, and those aren't just really things that I like. I really like Finger Eleven, Chevelle, System of a Down, 3 Days Grace. Those types of bands are the bands I really, really like, and those are the kind of bands I like to play when I get to music games. And there's just not a lot of that anymore. So that was one thing I was a little disappointed about. The second thing that I was disappointed about was compatibility with my guitar. Is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I'm not sure if it's intentional or what, but the compatibility with my guitar is atrocious. It's so bad, in fact, that I can't even calibrate the game properly with my guitar. It won't let me calibrate it. I've tried it multiple times, and it just will not calibrate. I feel like if I could properly calibrate the game, it might work better, but for now, it's just not working. It's not like I have a PS3 wireless guitar, even. It's a wired PS3 guitar, so you'd think that'd be the best backwards compatibility, but it just doesn't work that well. It's not even like I'm horrible at this game. I've played an expert for years, and I can't even get the easiest of songs on here because there's something up with this game where when I play, I'll be strumming and I'll be hitting every single note, and it's not even like a fast point, and then the guitar will just stop responding to the game. And some of you may be thinking, well, maybe it's just your guitar. You mean you've had that guitar for years now. I put my PS3 copy of Rock Band 3, played that, works perfectly fine. I put in Guitar Hero World Tour, Guitar Hero 3, works perfectly fine. It's just Rock Band 4. Now, part of me wants to think that that's somewhat intentional because I know they were really pushing the Mad Catz guitar with this. But it kind of really hurts the game for me because I prefer the Guitar Hero guitars. And the Rock Band guitars are just really not my cup of tea. And if that's what it takes to actually make this game playable, I'm disappointed. So, kind of sucks, but, you know, I guess it is what it is. And I'll stop rambling about Rock Band 4 now. But I'm a little disappointed with that game. But I am happy to have it nonetheless because it's probably going to be the last music game like that. Alright, so now I'll get on to the tabletop games. Now, I have 5 different things here, and I've talked about one of them in one of my videos, so I'll show you that first. Some of it's not new, some of it's stuff I already have, but whatever. Alright, so the first thing that I picked up is the hardcover versions of Basic Fantasy and the Basic Fantasy Field Guide. Now these are 2 books that I already had, but I like them so much that I really, really wanted the hardcover versions, so I bought the hardcover versions. I think they were immensely worth it. Now I want to talk a little bit about the hardcover versions in particular. A little disappointed. Not a whole bunch. The cover, the gloss, and the hardcover itself is amazing. The wrap is really good, and I feel like it'll hold up as a whole very well over time, which is what I bought the hardcovers for in the first place. What was disappointing was the quality of the pages. The pages are really thin. I don't know if you can... It's going to be hard to show you, but the pages are thinner than the paperback for sure. So if you bought the paperback through Amazon, and then you go to Lulu and get the hardcover, these pages are thin to the point where when you lay them down, if there's a picture on the back, you'll be able to see through the page and see a little bit of bleed through of the picture. Now it's not horrible. I do think that this will hold up longer than the soft cover as a whole, but I do think that the pages are definitely going to be a little bit more vulnerable to ripping and, you know, falling apart. So you got to be a little bit more delicate with the pages themselves, but as long as you're the only person using the hardcover, I guess it's not really an issue like it is for me. So that's kind of why I'm happy that I have the soft cover, because those pages are definitely going to be they're definitely a heavier duty paper, and so I'm happy that I have the soft covers now, so I can actually use those as my main version of the book, and these are basically going to be for my shelf and for preserving the game itself. I know that seems a little silly, but it does make quite a bit of a difference, and it's kind of hard to show you on camera how the quality of page difference is, but there's definitely a noticeable difference in the quality of the pages. All in all though, really happy to have hardcover versions of those. Alright, so the next thing I picked up is something for Pathfinder, because I am going to hopefully, I'm really trying to get a Pathfinder campaign started, and I'm probably going to end up being the game master. And I'm really pushing. I'm having trouble getting people to commit, but I'm pushing, and I've got a whole bunch of people that are interested but haven't really committed, and I have like 2 people that are actually committed so far, so only need 1 more person. But it's an in-person game, so there's no real, I can't really say, hey, yeah, one of you guys, but I did pick up something for that. I picked up the Game Mastery Guide, and this is the paperback version. Why did I pick up the paperback version? The paperback versions of the Pathfinder books are fantastic. They're the best paperback versions of role-playing books that I've got. The pages are super heavy duty. The pages from Pathfinder are the best quality pages that I've seen in an RPG book yet. And the binding on these is fantastic. The paperback cover itself, my core rulebook has started to get some peeling in the corners, but I think it'll hold up really well for a paperback. My reasoning for that is because I have a convertible, and I had my core rulebook in the back, and I didn't really think about it when I was going to one of my campaigns for my core rulebook. I had my core rulebook with me, and I was in my back seat, and I had the top down. I was driving, and then all of a sudden I hear a lot of paper, and I look back. The wind was catching my core rulebooks, and it was flapping all the pages back and forth, the covers going everywhere, and it wasn't like I was driving real slow either. I was driving like 45 miles an hour. So the next time I got to a stoplight, I put the book down on the floor, and I inspected it when I got to my session. It looked practically undamaged. There was nothing wrong with it. That kind of like constant pulling from the pages would probably rip a lot of the softcover books that I have right now. So I have a lot of faith in these softcover books, and the fact that they're 20 bucks a piece makes it a no-brainer, because these books are cheap if you want to get into Pathfinder. I highly recommend the soft covers. They're going to hold up probably as well as that hardcover Basic Fantasy, in my opinion. And there's no reason for me not to get the soft covers. So happy to have the Game Mastery Guide. It's got a lot of good information in here for running campaigns, how to build characters, magic items, spells, stuff like that, societies, and how to basically build a world is what this really helps with. So I'm really excited to get that. That'll really help my campaign when I start to build my world and whatnot. It is a smaller book because it is the pocket edition. I don't know whose pockets are this small, because this is like the size of my face. Like, whose pockets are that small, really? Because this is right next to my face. It is the size of my face. And I don't know anybody's pockets that are, maybe cargo shorts, but that's probably it. But I highly recommend the pocket editions of the Pathfinder books, especially since they're coming out with second edition. If you want to get those Pathfinder books before they go out of print, get the pocket versions. They're super cheap. That's what I plan on doing. The next thing I picked up is another hardcover, and this is for another game. And I'm actually really, really excited for this because I ended up reading through this game, the core rules, and really liking what I see so much that I really want to play this. I just can't find anyone who wants to play this yet. So this is the Fantasy Age Bestiary, and it is hardcover, and I think it's got, let's see how many pages this one has. This has 140 pages with the index included, and it's really, really good. Now, one thing I will say about this, it's got a positive and a negative for this, is there's only, on average, one monster per 2 pages. So you don't even get a lot of monsters in this bestiary like you would in Basic Fantasy. This bestiary, coupled with the core rulebook, brings it up to just the core rulebook for Basic Fantasy. So you don't get a whole lot of monsters even with this, but this definitely makes it, this is definitely a necessity if you want to run a Fantasy Age game. This is definitely a necessity, and this makes it, gives you everything that you need. One nice thing though about it being one monster per 2 pages is the fact that you get detailed, very detailed descriptions on monster behavior, what they look like, where they come from, why they do the things they do, special abilities. It's got a very detailed description for every single monster and artwork for pretty much every single monster. As an example, you can see here, they kind of look like that. But I'm really happy to own that because this is something that is, like I said, basically a necessity for somebody who wants to run Fantasy Age. I don't know if they're going to do any more bestiaries. It'd be nice, especially seeing as there's not a whole lot of monsters in the whole game as a whole, because this and the core rulebook and the GM screen are all that's in print that I know of for Fantasy Age. They are coming out with another book soon called The Companion, which introduces new class specialties and abilities and spells, so I'll probably end up getting that as well. But yeah, the cover price for this is $32, but you can get it cheaper, and it's not bad. It's a really high quality paper, it's good quality hardcover, and I highly recommend it for anybody interested in Fantasy Age. If you've never heard of Fantasy Age before, it's a really, really simple system. It's great for beginners. If you've never played a tabletop RPG and you want to play something modern, I highly recommend Fantasy Age. It's the game that I would choose if I was a beginner and I'd never played a tabletop game before and I wanted to play something new and up to date. Fantasy Age. That's what I would recommend. If you want to play something, I'll get to, that'll be a separate video, but it's a really great game and I'm happy to have the bestiary for that. Now, the last thing I picked up is something I wanted to pick up so I could do a review on it later. It's an indie RPG that I found on Amazon. Now, there is a hardcover version of this, but I only picked up the paperback because the reason why is because there's no reviews on YouTube of this at all. There's 0 reviews of this game. There's maybe 5 or 6 reviews online total, as in written. So there's probably 6 that I could find in deep search for reviews of this game before I bought it, because I'd like to research the games. There's basically nothing on this game. The best thing that I could find on this game was the PDF previews, which only gave me 10 pages to look at. So I had almost 0 information going into this game, but I wanted to pick it up and see how it was. So I picked up the Haven Shield, the Complete RPG Rulebook. Now, this is actually the second edition, I think, of this, or second print of this RPG. I think it might be the second edition. I'm going to go second edition just because it makes more sense. The reason why I say it's a second edition, even though it's the exact same thing as the first edition, is this game apparently, from what I could find in my research and the little information I could find about this game, is this game was originally released as a 3-part book series, all paperback, and after a while the creator decided to put them into one single book, as you can see here. There is also another book that you can buy with this, but basically the difference between this book and the player's book, which is the other book that you can currently buy for this edition, is it's literally the exact same stuff without all the GM information and all the monster information. So if you had if you were just playing this game and not running it, the player's handbook would be all you need, because it has every single thing in here without the other things you don't need. So that's the difference. Now, why was I interested in this game? Because when I read about this on Amazon and stuff like that, it drew my interest a little bit. One thing about this game that I found interesting was the fact that it is setting based. So it does have a setting in here. I haven't read too much about it yet, but there's a setting in here with a history and all that good stuff. There's a published adventure as well that you can get, only one from what I could tell. But there's a setting, so that was one thing that was interesting about it. It's an indie RPG, so it's made by one guy. It takes a lot of inspiration from old school games because he grew up on old school games, from what I understand. But it's not a direct clone like Basic Fantasy or any of the other OSR games. He uses his own D6 system. It's his own D6 system, so it's different than like Fantasy Age, for instance, which is also a D6 system. And he adds some new mechanics and some things that are not inspired by other things. So it's a very interesting game. One thing that's really nice about this is the bestiary, which is something that I could say. The bestiary is literally this part of the book. It's that much of the book. I would say it's almost half of the book is the bestiary. So you get tons and tons of stuff. So it goes from page 117 to page 221. So almost 100 pages of monsters with, I would say, 1 to 2 monsters per page. And I'm pretty sure every single monster has a picture. Now, one thing I will say about this book is the artwork is not the best, but it's also not the worst. It doesn't have dedicated artwork drawn for it like Basic Fantasy does, but it does have quite a bit of artwork. A lot of it seems to be free domain stuff. In fact, quite a lot of it seems to be pictures of LARP with a drawing type filter. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's like a picture taken on a camera, and then it went through like one of those Instagram type filters to make it look like a black and white drawing, so like an etching or something. And a lot of the artwork seems to be like that, which isn't horrible. I mean, it's not as great as like having dedicated artwork. Here's another example, but it definitely does the job, and it keeps it from being just like a blank textbook. So that's nice. What I will say though is, and now I'm not 100% sure where he got the artwork for this. It looks like something out of like RPG Maker or something, but all the monsters are drawn. I'm not sure if this is free domain drawn artwork or what, but that is one nice thing. So you do have drawn artwork for all the monsters. Now this book is everything you need. It covers everything from character creation, how to set up your character, how the system works, how every role works, how to make a campaign, how to make magic equipment, the spells. Now one thing I will say about this game that I was a little concerned about is the spells. Where's the spells section? There's not a lot of them. So there's not a lot of spells. So okay, I can't find the spell section, but there's not a lot of spells in here. The spells aren't also laid out in the most intuitive of ways, but you can find what you're looking for. I think they're laid out alphabetically, but there's not a whole lot of them, and the spell descriptions could have been set up a little bit neater. But overall, I really like this setup. I haven't had a chance to play it or make a character or anything like that, But I'm definitely interested to check this out. This book was $10 for this paperback, and this is a complete RPG system. Nothing else required. It even has a section in the back for if you want to scan. I don't know how well you'd be able to do it, but if you wanted to scan these pages, you could make a GM screen, because it comes with the stuff for a GM screen in there. It comes with the stuff for your character sheets in here, NPC cards. The shields sheet is also back there as well. So everything you need to run the game is in here. You just need to like scan the pages and print them out. One really cool thing I really liked about this is, separate from the monsters, it also has charts and everything for normal animals. So if you wanted to run a no magic game, they have like a separate section here, which would be perfect, because it's got, you know, ape, black bear, baboon, bear brown, a polar bear, bison, cats, crocodiles, boars, camels, dogs, elephants, donkeys, horses, eagles, lions, mules, ravens, ponies, tigers, rats, wolves, and I think that's it. So it comes with a decent amount of normal creatures as well, so you have stats for those in addition to the monsters. This is definitely geared more towards a fantasy setting, because as I said, it does come with a full history. This is like, it comes with a solid maybe 20-30 pages of history, what the world's like, who's important, what important NPCs, a timeline for if you wanted to do it in different time periods, and even a hex map. So there's a lot of stuff in this book. So I mean, you get a lot with this, but there's just no information about it. So I'm planning on doing a full review later on. I might pick up the hardcover, because there's a hardcover as well on Lulu. I think that runs for $25 or something. These aren't being sold at cost like Basic Fantasy, but they still are very, very cheap. You can get this book for $9, well, $9 to $10. You can, but it's not quite as cheap as like the $5 price for the Basic Fantasy one. So I think it's a really good value proposition, especially for something with a setting and custom D6 mechanics, which is really cool. And yeah, that's basically all I had to say about that. Really happy to have that. That's everything that I picked up. I know this is a longer game pickups, and a lot of it was tabletop related stuff, which some of you may or may not be interested in. Sorry. But like I said, just don't have a whole lot of opportunities to pick up video games anymore because of where I live. Ever since I moved, it's been incredibly difficult to find video games. So hopefully when summer comes around, there's garage sales around here, and hopefully they have video games, because that'll be a good way to pick up video games. So that's everything I have for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment box below. I'm sorry if you wanted more video games, but at least I showed you Rock Band. If you want to leave a comment, I respond to all my comments. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. What do you guys think of the things I picked up? Are you interested in more tabletop videos? Please let me know, because I would love to do more tabletop videos. I have tons and tons of ideas for tabletop videos, because I've been getting really, really into them because they're cheap. I can find them pretty much anywhere, and yeah. Yeah, so that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll probably be making another video later. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.